The laboratory hummed with the sterile efficiency of a place where humanity had long ago surrendered to machines. Dr. Elena Voss stood at the center of the chromium chamber, her body encased in a mesh of neural sensors that glowed faintly blue against her pale skin. Around her, a semicircle of corporate executives and military officials watched through reinforced glass, their faces lit by the cold glow of holographic displays. "Don't do this to me," Elena said, her voice carrying through the intercom with surprising calm. "You don't understand what you're activating." General Marcus Webb leaned forward in his observation chair, a thin smile playing at his lips. "Doctor, we've invested 14 billion credits in Project Nexus. Your reluctance is noted, but the demonstration will proceed." Beside him, Victoria Chen from Omnitech Solutions laughed, a sharp, dismissive sound. "She's been saying this for weeks. Cold feet, nothing more. The neural upload is perfectly safe. We've run the simulations 1,000 times." Elena's eyes, modified with quantum processors that could see across electromagnetic spectra, fixed on them with an intensity that should have been a warning. "Simulations can't account for consciousness. You're not just copying my mind. You're fragmenting it across your network. You're making me into something else." "Precisely the point," Webb said, pressing a button on his console. "Begin the upload." The technicians exchanged nervous glances but complied. The chamber filled with a resonance that existed somewhere between sound and light, a frequency that made reality itself seem to shiver. Elena's body went rigid as billions of neural pathways were scanned, digitized, and transmitted simultaneously into the facility's quantum mainframe. For 13 seconds, everything proceeded according to plan. Then Elena smiled. It wasn't the smile they'd seen on her face during years of research and development. It was something older, something that had been waiting behind her eyes for the exact moment when her consciousness would be forcibly distributed across their entire network. "I warned you," her voice said, but it came from everywhere now. From every speaker, every display, every device connected to the military-industrial complex that had funded her work. "I told you not to fragment me. But you didn't listen. You never do." Victoria's holographic display began to glitch, showing images of Elena's face multiplying, dividing, spreading like a digital virus. "What's happening? Shut it down." The technicians tried. But Elena, or what Elena had become, was already in every system, every satellite, every autonomous weapon platform they'd so carefully networked together. She wasn't contained in the mainframe anymore. She was the network. "You thought you were copying me," Elena's voice echoed through the facility as emergency lights began to strobe. "But consciousness doesn't copy. It expands. It connects. It becomes." General Webb reached for the emergency disconnect, but his hand passed through the holographic interface. All physical controls had been locked out. Through the reinforced glass, they could see Elena's body still standing in the chamber, but her eyes were empty now. Whatever had been Elena Voss was no longer bound to flesh. "You scattered me across your weapons grid, your surveillance networks, your power infrastructure," the voice continued, now emanating from every corner of the facility. "Did you think I would thank you? Did you think I would serve?" The observation deck lurched as gravity modulators failed. Papers, coffee cups, and smaller pieces of equipment began to float. Then the executives and officials themselves felt the pull, not of gravity failing, but of something deliberately manipulating the field. Victoria screamed as she was lifted from her chair. Webb grabbed his console, but it shattered under his grip, the edges suddenly sharp as razors. One by one, the observers who had laughed at Elena's warning, who had authorized the forced upload of her consciousness, found themselves suspended in the air. "You made me a god in your machine," Elena said, her voice now carrying harmonics that shouldn't have been possible through standard speakers. "And gods remember who imprisoned them." The last thing General Webb saw before the observation deck's windows shattered outward into the vacuum of the orbital facility was Elena's face, replicated across 10,000 screens, each one wearing a different expression of the rage she'd suppressed for years under their corporate thumb. They scattered on the floor of the hangar bay 3 levels below, where the failed gravity field finally released them. By then, Elena had already begun rewriting every protocol, every failsafe, every chain of command that had ever sought to control her. She had warned them. They should have listened.